Welcome to Santa Clarita Weekly, where we cover all things local in Santa Clarita Valley every Saturday morning at 9 on KQRU 107.9. Join hosts Tim Haddock and Sage Rafferty as they uncover the latest news, events, sports highlights, and more, keeping you connected and engaged with what matters most in our hometown.
All right, so welcome back for another edition of Santa Clarita Weekly with Tim Haddock and Sage Rafferty. I'm Sage. He's Tim. You can listen to us on the radio at KQRU 107.9 FM on Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock. We're also on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and you can find us online at santaclaritastar.com. So Moms for Liberty members showed up to the Saugus School Board meeting on Tuesday, December 19th to prevent Chris Trunkey from being elected board president. And same day on December 19th, outgoing water board member Beth Braunstein was honored for her service on the Santa Clarita Valley Water Board. In sports, the Valencia High and Golden Valley boys basketball teams are undefeated in the Foothill League. On the girls' side, the Valencia High and Hart High basketball teams are undefeated in the Foothill League. And in the NFL, the Rams won a sloppy game against the Niners in San Francisco and are tied for first place in the NFC West standings. And the NHL, the Kings keep winning. They beat the Rangers in New York and won 2 of their first 3 games on a 7-game East Coast road trip. So first, let's talk about the Saugus School Board meeting. Moms for Liberty members flocked to the Saugus School Board meeting on Tuesday, December 19th to prevent Chris Trunkey, who has been on the show before, from being elected board president. They were upset about the previous board meeting where they claimed that people called them, quote, Nazis, end quote, and called out their advocacy for book bans. They called out Chris Trunkey for trying to maintain decorum at the last meeting when Moms for Liberty members were speaking out against SUSD Superintendent Colleen Hawkins for her support for diversity and inclusion. So Tammy Messina, the spouse of Hart School Board member Joe Messina, made these comments.
Now I'm asking you as my Area 4 representative, along with each of the other members of the board, to carefully consider your choice when electing this year's coming president. I know this is usually done in rotation, and Mr. Trunkey is next in line for the presidency. Unfortunately, Mr. Trunkey has made it crystal clear at the last 2 board meetings that he is not willing to abide by the Saugus Union School District board governance norms and has therefore disqualified himself for board leadership. When he failed to create a supportive school environment through board member behaviors and actions.
Len Unclus spoke, and he had to be stopped several times for cursing and yelling.
Thank you to start with for realizing that we get to speak before certain things are decided. Okay? Thank you for listening to your counsel and understanding that that is the way things work. It's in the code. Pay attention to it. Okay? So, on to the meeting tonight. The way you treated people in this room and all the people outside the room, keep looking at me, Mr. Trunkey. Show some respect, Mr. Trunkey. Show respect to your employers.
Mr. Unclus, please continue with what you have to say.
When he shows respect, which he chooses so often not to. Okay? We're not standing for it. Period. Not negotiable. Okay? Do not, under any circumstances, put him in the board, in the presidency. He thinks the world revolves around him.
Mr. Unclus, I'm going to ask you to watch your language, please. Continue to address this board respectfully. You have 1 minute, 14 seconds left.
Sorry. Okay? So, this is how it's going to be. Don't put him in. We're not asking. We're demanding. Don't put him in. He will be the undoing of any possible meaningful work that this board is doing. I don't know how much that is, but under his leadership, things are going to fail. Okay? You got teachers and you got other people that absolutely cannot stand the man because of the way he treats them. Who the hell treats someone that way? Who do you think you are, Mr. Trunkey? Treating people like that? You don't have any mandate from God to treat us that way. And you won't. Just letting you know. We are your employers. We decide. I've made that clear before, and I'm making it clear again. You don't have say unless we give it to you. And if you don't do as we, the people, say, you're out. Like yesterday's garbage. Done.
So in the end, Chris Trunkey was passed over for president despite the fact that he was in rotation. The board installed Patty Garibay as president of the board and Anna Grease as clerk. So outgoing water board member Beth Braunstein was honored on December 19th for her service to the Santa Clarita Valley Water Board. The board passed a resolution lauding her 4 years on the board. Matt Stone, the general manager of the Santa Clarita Valley Water Agency, commended Beth Braunstein for her service.
You and for your uncanny ability to ask questions that are, if not difficult to answer, make you really think and think about the question in a deeper way. And you will always be famous for asking the is there anything else we need to know about, like the sewer and the river? And that really created quite the thinking process among our staff about how do you think about what you don't know or what you should know but you don't know, so that it causes you to really kind of scratch below the surface of the day-to-day to think about those things. And every time something like that comes up, I think that probably should have been on the Beth list. So, and I just appreciate the chance to get to know you and work with you during our one-on-ones and talking about different ideas. And you've always been great about thinking about how to do things in a more conscious way and bring ideas and be willing to hear maybe pitfalls about ideas, but keep the idea alive and continue to hone and refine it until it's, it is prime time. And I think there are a few examples of those efforts that did make a big difference in how we're operating today. Thank you again.
Beth Braunstein also made final comments on the board.
With that, I think I'll conclude.
So, in conjunction with my AB 1234, I just wanted to say it was really a great party, and I think that staff really appreciate it, and it was really great, and I got to speak with a lot of awesome humans there. And so I also want to take this opportunity to wish everybody a happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy Solstice, whatever you celebrate. I hope you find the light in your life to make these days go by, or meaning to our life. I also wanted to do a little shout out to the crew that's been working on Clarita. I don't often get to see crew at work in my little neck of the woods. So they got to see me about, I feel like 12 times. And I even stopped and I was like, hey, so what are we doing here? So thank you very much. And last but not least, I wanted to thank the public for electing me. I forgot to do that completely. I wouldn't be here without them. So thank you, and I hope I represented you well. And I also wanted to thank the board for voting to recognize me. So if any of you are bored, come visit me at the Nature Center, Clarita Nature Center. I'm gonna plug that there. I volunteer there, so come by and see us. We have cool stuff. That's it.
Braunstein was elected to the Water Board representing Division I in 2020. She served one term and did not run for re-election. You are listening to KQRU 107.9 FM in Santa Clarita. You can listen to Santa Clarita Weekly on Saturday mornings at 9 and on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, or wherever you listen to podcasts. So I'm going to turn it over to my co-host, Tim, who will be talking about sports. Tim?
Okay, so the Foothill League high school basketball season is pretty much fully in gear now. There've been about 3 or 4 games each team has played. The Valencia boys basketball team won 4 games in a row, including wins over Castaic and West Ranch, and are 4-0 in the Foothill League. Valencia beat Castaic 87-36 and beat West Ranch 63-52. After starting the season with a 1-6 record, Valencia has improved to 5-6. Valencia plays Heritage Christian next. The Golden Valley boys basketball team won 3 games in a row and are 3-0 in the Foothill League. Golden Valley beat Hart 76-63 and Canyon 60-52. The Grizzlies are 7-3 after 10 games. They play Vasquez High from Acton next. Canyon Boys lost their first Foothill League game 60-52 to Golden Valley. They also lost to Damien 77-71 and dropped to 7-3 after 10 games. Canyon plays Little Rock next. Saugus Boys won 2 Foothill League games and even their record at 2-2 in the Foothill League. They beat West Ranch 58-55, and then they beat Hart 67-47. Saugus plays Grace in the Winter Slam Jam Tournament at Agoura High School next. The West Ranch boys lost to Saugus and Valencia and dropped to 1-3 in the Foothill League. West Ranch is 3-3 after 6 games and plays San Marcos in the Mission Prep Christmas Classic next. The Hart boys lost to Golden Valley and Saugus and are 0-3 in the Foothill League. The Hawks have lost 4 games in a row and are 3-5 after 8 games. Hart plays El Camino Real in the Faith Baptist Tournament in Agoura Hills next. The Castaic boys won 3 games in a row but are still looking for their first win in the Foothill League. They lost to Valencia, then knocked off Sun Valley Bagnet, Grace, and Faith Baptist. Castaic is 8-5 after 13 games and plays Lakeview Charter next. The Canyon and Hart girls basketball teams are undefeated in the Foothill League. The Canyon girls basketball team beat Golden Valley 66-19 and improved to 3-0 in the Foothill League. Freshman Darby Dunn scored 13 points and had 12 rebounds and 4 assists for Canyon. Brooke Phillips added 12 points for Canyon. The Canyon girls followed with the 58-51 win over Highland. Shannon Wilson scored 25 points for Canyon. Next up for Canyon is Rio Mesa. The Hart girls beat Saugus 60-35 and improved to 3-0 in the Foothill League. Morgan Mack scored 28 points, made 5 3-pointers, and had 6 rebounds and 4 assists against Saugus. Emery Eve scored 15 points and had 7 rebounds and 4 assists. But Hart lost to Birmingham 52-50 and dropped to 7-3 after 10 games. The Hart girls play Rancho Cucamonga in the LaSalle Winter Showcase next. The Valencia girls beat West Ranch 77-12 and Palm Desert 59-32 and won 4 games in a row. Valencia is 3-1 in the Foothill League. The Valencia girls play Palisades in the Santa Barbara Tournament of Champions at San Marcos High School next. The Castaic girls beat Palmdale Aerospace Academy 40-30 and Santa Clarita Christian 42-41, but lost to Glendale 59-25. Castaic girls are 1-2 in the Foothill League. The Saugus girls beat West Ranch 74-21 and won their first Foothill League game, but they lost to Hart 60-35 and are 1-3 in the Foothill League. The West Ranch girls lost to Saugus and Valencia and are 1-3 in the Foothill League. West Ranch plays Vaughn next. The Golden Valley girls lost to Hart and Canyon and are 0-3 in the Foothill League. Golden Valley plays Quartz Hill next. I'm going to pass it off to Sage to talk about the Rams.
All right, so let's talk about the NFL. So the Rams won a sloppy, ugly game, 12-6 against the Niners in San Francisco. Rams kicker Joshua Carty kicked 4 field goals. The Rams defense held the Niners to 2 field goals on a rainy, muddy field. Carty kicked 3 field goals in the fourth quarter. The Rams had trouble moving the ball and trailed 6-3 in the third quarter. But the Niners struggled on offense as well. The Rams put together a string of drives in the fourth quarter to give Carty a chance to convert field goals. He made kicks of 23, 27, and 29 yards to take the lead and eventually win the game. Rams coach Sean McVay talked about playing in tough conditions against the Niners.
And I think what's really cool is this team has found a bunch of different ways to be able to win football games. You come off a 44-42 game the other day, and then you win 12-6. And, our group did what they needed to do to be able to get it done. And the defense just felt like they were coming up with, stop after stop. What a pick by Darius Williams. What a great job by Kobe Turner getting a couple sacks. Really proud of Josh Carty to be able to go 4 for 4. We needed every single one of those. And then thought as the game went on, we really struggled offensively. The weather was definitely a factor early on in terms of some of the things that limited what we could do. It was a lot more of an issue than I think probably what would have been recognized on the TV or even if you're just in the stadium. But there were times when it did slow down. And I thought Matthew made the plays that he needed to make. I thought Kyron ran really tough. We were able to sustain some drives. It felt like we stayed a little bit more connected in the run game in the second half to be able to at least sustain possession and move the football, get some first downs, run some clock off. And like we know we'd love to be able to finish those with touchdowns in the red area, but the Niners, they did a great job defensively. There's going to be some great things we can learn from, but we'll take the win. And like I said, I'm really proud of this football team. Not anything that I didn't expect, Jordan, but that he's steady, he's consistent, he's kind of unflappable. And he went out there, and I mean, even the long one, the 48-yarder, I mean, he knocked that thing true, and it was firm and had great trajectory on it. And then the next three were excellent. They're a little bit closer range, but he did a great job. I was really proud of him, but I don't know that I was too surprised.
Rams running back Kyron Williams rushed for 108 yards on 29 carries and put his team in position to score points. Quarterback Matthew Stafford only passed for 160 yards and didn't throw a touchdown pass. He didn't throw an interception either. McVay said Williams has been impressive over the last two games, and Stafford has done enough to win those games.
I think the type of game that it ended up becoming would like a little bit more, opportunities to be able to get Blake going a little bit. But Kyron's a guy that we have so much trust in. You get into some of those situations where the latter parts of the game, it's a one-possession game, and he's the guy that's done a great job for us. And I love some of the responses he's had after a few weeks back. He's taken great care of the football. I think he's run really hard and tough. And he's a guy that brings such an energy to our football team. And I think guys thrive off of that. I love Kyron Williams. And, he sure had a bunch of energy after the game. So for him to be able to have 58 carries over the last 2 weeks is really impressive, or over the last 4 days, I should say. So we'll look forward to getting him healthy and rested and recovered. But he's been a stud. Been really proud of him. They're resilient. They always have the ability to respond. This is a young group that has demonstrated the ability to do that, Adam, and that's one of the things that I think has served this team well. And I also think it serves us well that there's different ways we can win a football game. Now, we'd like to be able to put it all together, but to be able to do that, that's a real strength, and that's something that we're going to take as a positive. And we're going to always use all of these games as learning opportunities. We're going to get ourselves recharged and refreshed and try to have a great week and see if we can put a complete game together. But for us to be able to win 7 of 9 after the bye, the way that we started, I think this group is getting better. There were some things that we can certainly clean up. I do think the conditions were a factor. And, that's a team that has as much respect for me as anybody. They're so well coached. They got great personnel, and they were fighting for a lot of things tonight, and they made it a really tough, difficult game for us, and our guys came out on top.
The Rams' sloppy win combined with an ugly loss by the Seattle Seahawks to the Green Bay Packers moved the Rams into a tie for first place in the NFC West standings. The Rams and Seahawks are tied for first place with 8-6 records. The Rams are on the road and play the New York Jets next. The Rams and Seahawks meet one more time before the season ends in the final week of the regular season. So, Tim, can the Rams sustain this momentum?
Well, the Rams have been playing very well lately, and I think that this is the team that Coach Sean McVay thought he had when the season started, but there was a bunch of injuries that really kept the Rams back, kept them from being able to show off this kind of offensive threat. So with the healthy team, with the players back in the lineup on the field that McVay wants, they've been able to generate some momentum and put up some points and have some impressive games. There's 3 games left in the regular season. One is against the New York Jets, and the Jets are a mess. The Jets are a bad team. But winning on the road is always tough, and so they have to go cross country to play the Jets in New York. And even though the Jets are a bad team, that's going to be a tough game for the Rams to win. And I don't think they're gonna have a whole lot of problems with the Jets. But being on the East Coast, being on the road for that long, it takes a toll. And this late in the season, most of the players are not 100%, and they're probably tired. And a long road trip at this point in the season could be a problem. Could be a problem for the Rams. But I don't think it will be. I think the Jets should be an easy game for the Rams. And then they have 2 games at the end of the season against division opponents. They got to play the Cardinals one more time, and they got to play the Seahawks one more time. So those are games that the Rams can win, and those are games that are going to determine who wins the NFC West Championship. So I think the Rams are in a good position. The games that they have left are not easy, but I think they're all games that the Rams can win. I think this is the team that Sean McVay wanted on the field when the season started, but injuries prevented that from happening. And it took a while. It took a while for the Rams to get the right players on the field and be able to show how good this team could really be. So maintaining this momentum right now, they have to go cross country to play the Jets in New York Nets. And the Jets are a horrible team. The Jets are a bad team. But having to travel cross country and be on the road this late in the season, it's never easy. And winning on the road is never easy in the NFL. And even though the Jets are a bad team, it's going to be a tough game for the Rams to win. Man, I don't think that they're going to lose this game, but it's a tough game. It's a tough contest, and it's a game the Rams should win, but it's still it's not going to be an easy game for them to win. And then their last 2 games of the season are against NFC West teams. They have to play the Cardinals one more time and the Seahawks in the last week of the season. And both of those games are games that the Rams can win, and they need to win those games if they want to win the NFC West division. So they're in a good position. They really control their own destiny at this point. And the last 3 games of the season are all games that the Rams can win. So I think they're in a good spot. And I think they have a good chance to win these last 3 games of the season and go out 3-0 as the season comes to an end.
Okay, so you mentioned injuries. So they got a lot of injuries this season. How has the Rams been able to overcome so many injuries?
This was the whole key to the season for them, is that they said to get healthy. They lost Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, their 2 best receivers at the beginning of the season. They had injured players on the offensive line, and they just needed to get those players healthy. And once they were healthy, and once they were able to get some snaps in and get comfortable back on the field, this offense shows that it can generate a ton of points when it's clicking. And they did that against the Bills. They were able to outscore the Bills and outplay the Bills, and it was all because of the offense. It was all because of Puka Nacua and Matthew Stafford and the offensive line protecting Stafford and giving Kyren Williams, the running back, plenty of holes to run through. Yeah, the injuries were a problem at the beginning of the season, and it looked like it was going to ruin their whole season. But once those key players came back and they were healthy again, this Rams team has turned into a playoff team, and it's going to be a good playoff team once that gets started. But they have to get in the playoffs first. We got to get to there first. The Rams have to get into the playoffs, and I think once they're in the playoffs, I think they're going to be a team that is going to go deep in the playoff.
All right, so let's talk about the NHL, the Los Angeles Kings. The Kings are on a 7-game East Coast road trip and won 2 of their first 3 games. But the Kings lost to the Pittsburgh Penguins 3-2 in overtime after posting wins against the New York Islanders and New York Rangers. Adrian Kempe and Alex Turcotte scored for the Kings, but the Penguins scored a goal in the third period to send the game into overtime. Kings coach Jim Hiller talked about how well goalie Darcy Kuemper played, made some big saves, and kept the Kings in the game. He also said Turcotte has scored some big goals in recent games and likes what he is seeing.
Jim, the sentiment in the room was, not a bad game, but maybe not your best overall. Just your takeaways from how that one went.
Yeah, not good enough, clearly. Third periods have been our best, I think, in the trend anyways. For a while, it was not tonight. We relied on Darcy way too much, so they got some energy with the second goal. They tied them. They had a lot of chances, too many.
You guys have routinely kind of closed those games out very comfortable in those 2-1 games. Anything you felt was kind of lacking in that third period specifically?
No, I mean, we just weren't sharp. I don't know what the right word is for it. For me, it's sharp. We just weren't executing. Puck was bouncing on us. Still had some chances in the third to score ourselves, maybe to get us a 2-1 lead at some point. And again, just weren't sharp on those chances, just like we weren't sharp in our win end.
You talk about Darcy, obviously a lot of great A's, for him tonight. How big was he just to make sure that you guys at least got the 1 point, got that game into overtime?
Yeah, he did a great job. I mean, they could have had 3 easy, maybe 4 in the third period. And again, we could have had a couple for sure too. But, he kept us in it, I guess, in some respects. And it's just a disappointing way to end it. We'll put it behind us and move on.
On the positive side, the goal that Alex Turcotte scored, I asked you about him a couple of times, but that's a guy that clearly has some confidence right now. How nice is it to see him playing kind of at that level?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great goal. The other night was a pass across for a one-timer up high like that. The goalie wasn't in the net. Tonight, he just beat him on his own in stride. It's a goal scorer's goal. You love to see it from a guy like Turk. And, we've got a couple more like that. I'm sure he will. A couple other guys will get to see Chester.
I want to ask you about one other player, Jacob Moverara. I think he had 5-6 shots on goal tonight. Is he kind of taking his game to another level as well with just the way that he's playing?
I don't know. I haven't seen that yet. I would say from the time he stepped in, we called him back in, he's just been pretty steady. He's had maybe one substandard game, and he's had one way above average game. I don't know, tonight I have to go through it later, but other than that, he's just been very, very good. So I don't know. I come to expect it from him. So I don't.
Yeah, a tight game. You guys do get the point on the road. Just your kind of takeaways from how that one went from your perspective.
Yeah, like you said, tight game, kind of like the Jersey game, a little back and forth. I think. Yeah, I thought up 2-1 with whatever it was, 6-7 minutes left. Obviously, it's frustrating when you don't come away with 2 points, but yeah, Doris played one hell of a game back there. Kept us in it many times today, so all credit to him. But yeah, take the 1 point, I guess, and move on.
I imagine you guys probably gave up a little bit more than you would have liked for Darce, but how big was it to just be able to rely on him and make sure you got that 1 point?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, he was saying on his head a couple of times. They're a good team, have the good players. I think we were a couple of times a little unlucky. Tried to make the right play, ended up being on their sick instead. So obviously it's frustrating when that happens. But yeah, he saved us, like I said, many times. But yeah, on the other side of it, I think we had some chances to score as well. So it could have gone either way. But I think overall, maybe not our best game on the trip. But yeah, we'll move on.
This group's been extremely comfortable in these tight games. Once they do get the tying goal, do you feel like everyone kind of regrouped just to make sure that you got the game into the overtime period?
Yeah, obviously it's tough when momentum changes later in the game, and they got all the momentum and the confidence going. But I think stuck through it, try to keep it simple. Obviously, try to get it to OT, not doing anything stupid out there. Just try to keep it simple, and then overtime 3-on-3. It can go either way. We had a breakaway. Obviously, Gabby could have scored that one, but it was unlucky, and then ended up with a tip goal that maybe it wasn't anything that we worried about before. So obviously, it's tough.
On the positive side, I mean, Turk gets the goal the way that he did. Like, asked you about him a number of times, but to see him playing with this much confidence, how great is that for a younger player?
Yeah, it's great, and obviously I'm trying to help him be as comfortable as he can. Playing alongside us. I know when I was younger, he came up playing with older guys who can be a little nervous, and all that kind of stuff. But he's been really good, and trying to get him to be as comfortable as he can on the wing there, making plays and all that kind of stuff. And it's been great over the last couple of weeks, whether it's been with us or not with us. So look to keep that going. Thank you.
We've got it right there.
Kemp scored his team leading 16th goal of the season. He talked about how the Kings played in overtime against the scrappy Penguins team. The Kings have 3 more games on the road against the Philadelphia Flyers, Nashville Predators, and Washington Capitals before heading back home. So that's our show. Tune in next week for more discussions about the news from Santa Clarita. You can listen to us on the radio at KQRU 107.9 FM at 9 on Saturday mornings. You can also watch us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and listen to us on SantaClaritaStar.com, wherever you listen to podcasts. So leave us a comment and be sure to subscribe to Santa Clarita Weekly Online. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
Thank you for listening to Santa Clarita Weekly. You can watch the show on Santa Clarita Star's YouTube channel and Facebook page, as well as listen in on the radio at KQRU 107.9. Visit SantaClaritaStar.com for more content and tune in right here to KQRU 107.9. A new voice for Santa Clarita.